You're now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show.
And so I want to talk about the postnatal depression as well of all this stuff going on, because, you know, as you said, it does all come at once, and you just taken this leap of faith. Obviously, you hadn't left your job, you were on maternity, but you've taken this career shift, let's be honest, quite a big step that some people never really take. You have a baby and now there's postnatal depression involved. What was it like for you going through the postnatal depression?
I didn't see it, which sounds, I think for anybody that knows me, and even looking back, I find it bizarre to say I just couldn't see it. One of the things, when they first asked me to go for the test, to be assessed for it, I was actually worried I was taking up somebody else's time that might really have postnatal depression, because I'm going through this grief. I've got this going on and I'll probably be all right in a bit. And then we went and I was assessed and they were like, no, you've clearly got postnatal depression. Okay. And it's a scary thing to be told, because you only see very scary things in the press of it. And if it's in when it's shown in TV soaps and things like that, it's always a very, very dark side of it. And I had a more, what they call sort of a high functioning. Obviously, I went and did all of that whilst I was being treated for the postnatal depression. But it was scary. It was, you know, what does that mean? What does that mean for my children? Does that mean I'm not a good mum? All of those things. Very lucky to be living in Oxfordshire, very close to the Oxford hospitals. Excellent support from the minute they diagnosed me. They got me into a programme within a couple of weeks. And they were very... so I was seeing a therapist every couple of weeks, and she was able to reassure me that, you know, they met me with the children, that everything was fine. And I'd grown up with children in the family, babysitting, all those sorts of things. So physically taking care of them, I didn't have any issue with at all. So yeah, it went. Yeah, it was okay. It was really difficult, but I couldn't really see it at the time.
As something I can really relate to from my own experience with clinical depression, one of the biggest things I struggled with was the denial of it. I was totally unaware of it. And it's similar to you, when the doctor said to me, "Oh, I think you're depressed," I honestly thought, like, no, you're talking to somebody else. Like, you're not looking at me. I think you've got the wrong person. And isn't it fascinating how someone else can see something in us that we can't, because we're so high functioning?
Yeah. And I just, it's exactly as you said, I just couldn't see it. And I remember vividly being asked once why I didn't ask for help. And I was like, well, I didn't know that I needed it. Nobody had talked to me before. And whilst I was pregnant, they talked to you about the signs for postnatal depression, but they're very... are you feeling suicidal, and do you feel like you might hurt your baby, and those, and I didn't have any of that side of the postnatal depression. I wasn't on that side of things. I don't know how, I went and I saw somebody and they did a brilliant talk where they said, actually, most women have postnatal depression. It's a spectrum that we're all on. And if you don't find out, because they did say to me, it's likely I had it when I had Luke and I just didn't realise. And again, I can look back and I can see that. And it's in the confidence lacking and the anxiety and, worrying about what people would think on a crazy levels. And they said that it's because it's so hormonal that you'd get this dip and we're all on it. But if you're functioning, nobody notices, and then you'll naturally recover at 18 months. And that's why so many babies are between 2 and 3 years apart.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, it is a hormonal thing. And I think it's fascinating how somebody else can spot it in us because they're not emotionally connected and they can see the logical side of it. When you say you didn't have those sort of symptoms, what did you have, or what happened after the sort of denial bubble was popped and you could start to see things?
I don't know. And I think the brain's a really strange thing. There's a lot of it that I don't remember. So I find that quite a difficult question to answer, because there's so much that is just sort of gone, if that makes sense. And I just carried on doing, and they put me in a program, and I'm very good at doing as I'm told. So come and have these talks, come and do some journaling. So I was doing some journaling around it. They got me to do a group therapy where you went with your baby. It's terrible. I don't think it's taken off. I think it was quite a new thing, because I used to come out of that going, that is the most depressing thing ever, to be in a room of 4 women, all with postnatal depression and with their crying babies. And at least you drive home going, well, I feel better that we're not in that room anymore.
Maybe that's it. Reverse psychology. Yeah. It's really interesting. You're like the first person I've talked to about this that's had a really similar experience to me. So I'm exactly the same. I can hardly remember anything of when I had the depression. And people ask me about it all the time, which is why I'm curious to be like, am I the only one that blacked it out?
It's not in a bad way. I think that's the other thing, is it feels really scary, and it's going to be this horrible time that you have to recover from. I didn't have a horrible time. We had some really lovely experiences and everything was okay. And it was just, I think there's lots of it that you would naturally, as we get older, you naturally go through different things, and anxiety and those things build. And I can look back and I can see where I'd had some issues. I'd hurt my knee years before. And I remember thinking about, oh, well, I'll never be a good mum if I can't get down on the floor and kneel and play with and you look back and go, that was the start of that spiral into that depression, which just comes naturally. And actually, by having the postnatal depression, by having the therapy, by having all of the tools that they get you to think about, they're things that help me just in life in general. Because I find it easier to deal with certain things because of that, and to take a step back from stuff. I always remember one of the things that she said to me is about, it's your choice how you react to something. And I thought she was crazy. I was like, no, if someone pissed me off, that's not a choice. And she's like, no, it's your choice, and it's your choice whether you're gonna, if it's with your husband and you're having a row, it's your choice whether you're doing that. And the brilliant example that she used was, if a car cuts you up and you hung on the horn and you're really cross and you drive home and you effing and jeffing about and telling what this stupid driver did, that driver has no inclination that you're upset. They've gone. So why are you still worrying about it? You're choosing to do that. They're not impacting you. They've already gone. And that, I think, is something that I take forward into life and how I deal with stuff.